Back in 0.3 and 0.4 of Holocure, the primary method of aiming was holding the Z key, which would lock your aim in the direction you were initially moving and allow you to attack in that direction, regardless of what other direction you went. This is referred to as strafing, and even with the addition of mouse aiming in 0.5, the function still remains, and some players, myself included, still prefer to use the strafe key rather than aiming with the mouse. Still, there are some characters where aiming with the mouse is far more practical than aiming with the strafe key, and the character who embodies this the most is Natsuiro Matsuri. Matsuri's starting weapon, Ebifrion, slowly swings a big club-like thing in a small clockwise arc. At max level, it has a chance to cause a huge knockback on any enemies it hits, as well as dealing double damage. The weapon is hard for me to use because it's not really meant to be used with the strafe key. If you are using the mouse and spin it clockwise, it will cause the weapon to move faster, and spinning your mouse counterclockwise will freeze the weapon in place. Since it's designed for the mouse, I often just get Dragonfire or Bone Bros and not bother with it. Matsuri's special attack requires just as much attention as her starting weapon. Washoi summons a massive drum and slows all enemies down significantly. When you activate the special, you will see a bunch of circles slowly home in on Matsuri, and pressing the special attack key when those circles turn orange will create a shockwave that damages and knocks back enemies. If you can beat the rhythm game, a small firework will appear above her. Unlike other special attacks where you can just activate them and forget about them, Matsuri's requires a lot of attention. Combine that with how much attention her starting weapon requires, and she is in the running for what is probably the most mechanically demanding character in the game. Switching between rhythm gaming, Toho, and Ebifrion pretty much makes it hard to excel at any one of them, though slowing the enemies is a nice touch. Matsuri's first skill, Cheerleader, makes it so that whenever she hits an enemy that is close to her, within 100 pixels, she stacks some attack and speed. It caps at 15 stacks for a boost of 60% attack and speed, and only lasts for 4 seconds, but such a boost is quite potent. Her second skill, God, makes it so that whenever she is hit by an enemy, there is a chance for a massive beam to appear and deal massive damage to the enemy that hit her and any enemies that are vertical of it. At max level, this means that there is a 50% chance to deal 700% damage to any enemy that hits you. There doesn't seem to be a cooldown on the beam's rate of fire, though there is a delay before the beam goes off, meaning that there is a chance for the enemy to die before the beam strikes. When this happens, the beam will simply go off on the enemy's spot of its death. However, if the enemy is still alive, then the beam will follow them and is guaranteed to hit. This is very useful on bosses, as most of them have range attacks, meaning if they hit you with their little Toho bolts, they're guaranteed to take a bucket load of God beams to their face. Her last skill, Say-So Representative, essentially gives Matsuri a single dodge charge after 12 seconds. It's kind of like Fubuki's Friend Zone, only when Matsuri uses her dodge charge, instead of getting a guaranteed dodge chance for 3 seconds like Fubuki, Matsuri gets damage pulses that deal 300% damage to enemies for 5 seconds and stuns them for half a second. Matsuri's skills do a pretty good job of defining her role. She's a face tank. The ideal playstyle for her is to run into a swarm of enemies and get hit as much as possible, letting Say-So Representative and God deal damage to enemies while Cheerleader boosts your damage and speed to kill enemies faster and run out of the crowd if you're in trouble. Then, when you get overwhelmed, you spin Ebifrion or use Washoi to get enemies away from you so you can recuperate. As such, defensive items like Body Pillow, Band-Aid, and Plushie are all fantastic additions to Matsuri as they increase her tanky capabilities. Pika Pika Pimon might be a nice addition since it's an item that benefits from getting hit, but with how janky Matsuri's special attack is, I think it's better to forego it altogether. Breastplate is probably the best item to use on Matsuri. Not only does it boost her defense, but it also provides an additional source of damage from running into enemies, and the speed penalty is more than offset by Cheerleader. So, that's Matsuri. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for future videos, and happy holocuring.